Hello, thank you, friends, for joining in. I am Trina, and I am your host today for Rare Strides podcast. We are on episode 2, and we have a special guest here with us today. So excited to introduce to you Matt. You go by Matt, correct? Or Matthew?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so we have Matt here with us today, and we have a little bit of a different story, a different perspective today. So, Matt's daughter is a part of the community, and I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about the story and how he got involved with Rare Strides and why you got involved. If you can go ahead and share with us.
Absolutely, Trina. Thank you so much for having me on here. As you were saying, I have a little bit different perspective from being actually a parent of someone in the rare community. My daughter, Carly, or Caroline, she has multiple rare diseases, which is common. I mean, you don't have to. So she has, like your previous guest, she has syndromyellia as well, which is the it took a long time to diagnose her and figure out what was going on. From a very young age, just as soon as she was born, we just knew something was not right. I mean, it just, as a parent, you just know something going on. And I always had this feeling from the very beginning that, hey, she's beautiful, she's perfect, she's this amazing little, angel, but there's just something wrong. Something's
Mm-hmm.
not. And we did the normal doctor. Oh, she's not hitting this. What's happening? They're like, oh, it's fine. Just let her go. She looks normal. She's within the range, whatever. And it was like, okay, but we just kept letting it go. I mean, she was missing more and more milestones. Like, she wasn't talking, 2 years old. She was just babbling, and we couldn't understand what she was saying. Uh, we couldn't get her body trained or anything like that. It took her a little bit of extra time to walk, and things like that kept happening. She then started having, she would wake up in the middle of the night screaming, just for no reason, screaming. We got told, oh, it's night terrors, oh, it's growing pains, oh, don't worry, she's healthy, she's perfect, don't worry about it. And it was like, all right, fine, we'll keep going a little bit longer. And then finally, we just got to the point where, you know, it's clearly not that, she's 3, almost 4, still not talking, even despite years of sleep. She's still having issues with something else going on. So that's when we started to really push on our primary care physician, like, okay, enough with the urgency. We need. We finally got. That's when it started, like, just like every other journey. Okay, see this doctor, see that doctor, see this doctor. So we played that game again with neurologists, cardiac specialists, um, GI, and all this stuff. And the neurologist was the one that seemed to actually be more for us. But again, it was, oh, here's the EEG. Oh, here's, we got to test her for autism, all this stuff. And I was sitting there with my partner at the time saying, it's not, I have an older daughter with autism. This is not, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but fine. We'll do the test because that's what insurance wants us to do. That's what we had to do to get to that. So we went through everything. And again, there's just no answers. And this is a couple of years at this point, 2 years we've been doing this. And it went in for the test to talk about autism, and it was like, yeah, it's not autism. And then it was like, well, we don't know what to do now. We're just going to wait and see what else happens. And at that point, I pretty much lost, because it was like, no, like, this isn't it. Like, you can't just tell me, wait, there's something wrong. It's clear there's something wrong. Like, as a parent, I know there's something wrong. I'm with my child every day. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point where my partner and I were literally screaming at the neurologist, demanding that they give us an MRI, because we had been doing our own research on the
Mm-hmm.
outside, Googling what wouldn't. And we had determined from first symptoms everything that we felt it was a tethered cord, which it can cause a lot of symptoms. And so we were screaming at the neurologist. Finally, he's like, yeah, all right, we'll give you an MRI. Okay, great. Went to the hospital. MRI without contrast. Sitting there saying for an hour, sitting there, and then we get a call. So we're going to keep your daughter longer. We found something. We now need to run it with contrast. And of course, they don't tell you anything while you're in the hospital, sitting. So I don't know. God, I think the total MRI ended up being like 5 hours long. It was insane.
Wow.
Um,
A parent
and
nightmare.
oh, it just, I mean, nail biting the whole time we're sitting there in the hospital. What? Okay, you told us something. You saw something. What was it? And of
Right.
course, you got to wait for them to read it. Go to the doctor. Went to a spinal surgeon. Oh, we don't know what it is. Could be cancer. So of course we sat there for a couple weeks. Oh my God, what do you mean it could be cancer? You know, specialist this, specialist that. Everybody's reading their MRI. No one's getting back. Finally, they come back and say, "Oh, it might be this. We're going to try something." And of course, being a parent, not in the medical field, really know. They're like, "Oh, she might have fibromyalgia." I'm like, "Cool. Okay. What do you do?"
At least you have a name now.
Right, at least we had something. So like, great.
Yeah.
Now we start looking. Of course, everything you see online, and you're getting the worst case scenario of everything. You know, like, oh my God, my child is doomed. Um, so we had the surgery done with her and everything. They were like, hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna remove a piece of her spine. We're gonna straighten it. We'll put it back. She'll be fine. That was not. The doctors I've come to determine do not tell you, especially when it's had surgery with someone else. So like they were telling us, oh yeah, it'll be fine. She'll have this. She'll be great. Whatever. Surgery's done. Nope, not putting the piece of bone back. As soon as they start, they do. Oh, by the way, she can't do this, this, and this now. And we're like, what do you
Mm.
mean? So it's very frustrating because as a parent, you want to do what's best for your child, and you're basing everything on these medical doctors who you think are professionals, who I mean they are professionals, but you think they know everything about the disease.
Right.
They knew nothing about it. They had no idea what fibromyalgia actually was. They were specialists in different parts of the spine, different divisions of the spine. So what they did was actually useless. Did nothing. So we had to go, went through this multiple hour surgery for no reason. She literally had to like teach herself how to walk again for 2 weeks. It was not very, it just wasn't good for her. And then
Sure.
from there, you know, of course, here we are thinking everything's good, and the symptoms just kept going. It wasn't until we found a specialist in New York, and with her disease, fibromyalgia, there are two specialists that actually deal with it. So thankfully, and this is kind of how I got into Rare Strides, we were looking for some kind of support with children or people that have, and that's how we actually came across that. Gwen actually reached out to us, like, "Hey, I have this disease. Here's the foundation I started. Let's talk." And she has been an immensely huge help to us. Just going through, talking to us, letting us know, we're not alone in this.
Yeah, I think that's the most important to know that you are not alone, that there are
Yeah,
others going through these same frustrations, the same, even though you have a diagnosis, as we were talking about before we went live, is that there's so many variations of diagnosis. And you
oh,
can have multiple rares. I myself have multiple rares. It's more than one. And so, mine are connected, thankfully, that, I treat it as one, even though they're all different. So, in the rare community, there's a lot of frustration and not knowing or feeling like you're alone or getting diagnosis. It took me, I was in my 40s before I got my diagnosis. And like you knew there was something wrong with your daughter, I too knew that there was something wrong. And I think that what Beth's doing with Rare Strides is great to be able to pull together, one for education for us to not feel alone, but also to help the healthcare providers educated.
Absolutely. I mean, in my daughter's case, it took 5 years before we actually got her fully diagnosed. And of course, she's got more than one, between the syngomyelia, Alzheimer's, Arby, 2A disorder, procedure. But we didn't know all of that. And if we had
Right.
had something where we could have gotten education about syngomyelia right away and how it's connected with other diseases, and that the only way to show it is MRI, and that we could have found out about her tethered cord through um, other things because yeah, tethered cord doesn't go up on it. So I mean, we went to the specialist who knew all about it and said, hey, here's her symptoms. This is what we think it is. This is what we thought about 4 years ago when we were yelling at the doctor. And he was like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. She's a case study. How did they not know this? And we were like, we don't know. We went to who we thought was the right person to go. I mean, it was all different hospitals and specialists.
Right.
So we were just surprised. I mean, trust me, everybody has been great. It's been, the whole healthcare community has been really great working with her, and they're amazing people in the field. That education, there's so many rare diseases out there that you can't be a specialist on all. You can't know all. You can't know how they're all interconnected. So that's
Right.
why something like this, with what Best Steward Rare Strides, is amazing, and something that is going to really help. I mean, we looked at Harley's case study, and if we had had something like this, we could have knocked 2 to 3 years off of her diagnosis time. She could have avoided multiple tests and MRIs that she didn't need, not to mention a very invasive surgery that could have been prevented. So it's
Oh,
just
yeah. I've lost many organs over my lifetime just because I didn't have the diagnosis.
right. And, because, I mean, they do the best they can. Doctors are great. They do the best they can with the information they have. So they
Right.
have stuff like this at their fingertips where they can say, hey, let me reach out to this organization, or, oh, you have oh, I'm sorry. You have this thing that you can reach out to and just get these resources and meet other doctors and, really pull together. It would be amazing. And that's why I got involved with Rare Strides, is because when you guys was telling me about it and what to do, and I was just like, wow, oh my God, I wish
Right.
I had that. There's so many things I could have had my daughter avoid if we had something like this.
Right.
It's
And I'm
really
so excited about Code Rare that we just kicked off. And we've had a client go through and experience positive opportunities to be able to educate EMT, the healthcare providers before they got into the emergency room. And we're going to actually get the opportunity to hear more a little bit about on our next episode. But as a parent of a child with a rare, if you're going to share this with another parent, how to get involved, what would you say to them?
absolutely. The biggest thing would be if you reach out to the code rare at redcard.com. That's a great way. From there, we can always find different ways to see how you can get involved, from letting us know about your child's rare disease. Um, we can help create cards. We can go ahead and do other things too, like you can go to our website and sign on. You can go into, we have our wonderful GoFundMe account where they're trying to get Code Rare going on, so you can,
Right.
share time or yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of ways to connect. Definitely our website, rarestrides.com. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. We have an Instagram as well as now a YouTube channel. So definitely lots of different ways to get education about different rare diseases and opportunities for people to get connected. We will be looking for other guests to come on to our show and share their story, frustrations, and maybe some tips on how they overcame those frustrations, or what did they do to reach out to specialists find the right answers. Are there any tips like that that you have that you could share with our viewers?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is reach out to people in the rare community. I mean, you know, like I said, with Code Rare and everything, we're gathering resources, trying to put this together. But if you, until then, reach out to your rare community, talk to the people that have this rare disease because they know this, they know who to, they know that, hey, this is the symptom that I have. And just reaching out to those people and then bring that to your doctor and say, hey, look, this is what I, this is this database here. Can you look at it, see help? Ask
Yeah.
other people in the community, what did you do? What did you tell your doctor to get that next thing, to get, to that next level? How did you get through until?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Being an advocate for yourself or your child, I think that's the biggest takeaway that I learned myself is being an advocate for myself and not just accepting what the healthcare provider told me. I went for over a decade of having one diagnosis that wasn't correct and then being medicated for that diagnosis that just made me sicker because it wasn't the right medication. So, being an advocate for yourself or your individual that you're taking care of is so important to know that inner self, that gut feeling, and speak. You do have a voice to say, you know what, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't seem right. Here's some information that I found. Can you help me look at this even deeper?
absolutely. And don't be afraid to leave your doctor and go find another.
Oh, I
Just
have
because you've been with
fired
that
a
person.
couple myself.
Exactly. I mean, we did the same thing, just because, if you go and you're like, hey, can you help me? Can you look at this? Can you work with it? And they're like, nope, nope, it's not that. Don't move on. Get a second opinion. Get a third. Get a fourth. Get a fifth. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. I
Go
could
talk
I
until you
I could
find.
probably count my hands and my toes more than one time around of how many doctors that I went to be able to then be able to say, okay, this is really what it is. And now my quality of life is so much better now that I have the diagnosis and getting the right treatments.
Exactly. Same thing with my daughter. As soon as we were able to get the tethered cord surgery for her, things have gotten way better. Unfortunately, you know, because of the prolonged time it took to get the diagnosis, she's now got other conditions with her bladder and
Right.
things like that we'll never be able to fix, which we could have prevented. And that's the other thing
Exactly.
with having the resources, having something like this where we can, shorten that diagnostic time and get a better quality of life, better care for everything. It's just so much. So it's really just be your advocate. Just know that don't get no. If you know something's wrong, go to the next person.
Right.
Get help.
Right.
Find somebody that knows about your.
Right.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to reach out further. I know originally I was in a rural town in Iowa, and that's actually I'm moving back there, heading towards Iowa this afternoon. So, I was living in a rural town with very few resources, and that's where this diagnosis came from. And it wasn't until I moved to Metro Atlanta that I had more resources available to me. And, sometimes in those rural communities, they just don't know to look outside. They think about going to a larger community or going to resources like this and taking it to their doctor and say, hey, there's more out
Exactly. That's again where getting involved where it would be such a great thing. If anybody's interested, we're looking for nurses that want to Speakers Bureau. We're looking for people to share their rare stories so we can get that information out. So we can build.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
It don't have to be rare. You don't have to be a caretaker of a want to be involved. We are looking for nurses, healthcare providers to get involved to help share the information, the stories of the rare disease community. So you're absolutely right.
Absolutely. It is, it's all about getting together and being able to have a place to go.
Yes.
Talk to other people. Even just finding another person that has your rare disease is huge. Because again, just knowing that there's someone else there that's going through the same thing, that knows about it, that, means you're not alone. Your child isn't the only one. You're not the only one. That other
Right.
people have done that journey too. It's
Right.
that alone is an immense help. So many.
Well, we have some really amazing things that are upcoming. We have Rare Wish, where we do have a child that is going to be given Rare Wish opportunity. And we are doing some fundraising to help fund Code Rare. And then we'll also have some opportunities upcoming for Rare Wish donations. But I will be posting the link if any of our viewers are interested in contributing to our GoFundMe. That will help our Code Rare get out, help educate more healthcare providers, EMTs, firefighters, as well as giving back to the community, because that's what makes us different, is that we are here to serve our community as well, and give back to the community. I just wanted to wrap this up. Is there any other things that you'd like to share with us, Matt, before we tell our viewers goodbye for the week?
Just please, reach out, get involved, email us, coderare@redstrides.com, and we'd love to have as much people information out to us as possible so we can make a good resource and a good place for people to get help.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us on your Saturday. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you viewers chiming in on your busy afternoon to hear a little bit more about Rare Strides and what we're doing for the rare community. And we hope to see you soon, connected and giving back. Have a great week.